I just got back from watching the Dark Knight Rises. This isn't a Dark Knight Rises t-shirt, but anyway. And I just wanted to do a quick first impressions video about it rather than just instantly doing a review and analysis. I need to let a film breathe for a little bit before I really do that. And I did my Prometheus review quite quickly after I watched the film, and there were things that I wanted to say about that film now that I didn't really think of at the time. So this is consider this a first impressions video. It's not a full review. It's not a full analysis. The Dark Knight Rises is the third film in Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, Batman saga, and it follows Bruce Wayne after the events of the Dark Knight, where he is actually retired. He's no longer Batman, and he's living very much as a recluse. He's hiding from the world. He's isolated himself from everybody around him. And the reason for this is that he doesn't know how to go on not being Batman, and also because he is mourning the death of people from the previous films. And he's just a very sad, cuts a very sad and lonely figure for the first half of the movie. At the same time, a criminal mastermind who leads an army by the name of Bane, who can match Batman not just in terms of intelligence but also physically, has appeared on the scene in Gotham and starts to wreak havoc on the whole city, eventually holding the entire city in the palm of his hand, holding it at his mercy. And of course the whole question is, will Batman come back to the fore? Now, when we saw him in The Dark Knight, he took the rap for certain things that he didn't do. So the film starts up and Batman is very much someone who is hated by the people of Gotham, which was a really brave choice to make, I think, at the end of The Dark Knight. So he's hated, he's feared, he's not someone that they trust. And obviously that needs to get righted, and people need to start valuing him as a hero, because what I always thought about the Nolan's films is that they're really about people inspiring other people. In the first film, you had Bruce Wayne's parents inspiring not just him but Gotham City to be better people. In the second film, Harvey Dent was inspiring people, but in the third film, it's truly about Batman inspiring people to go on and do great things. That's what the movie is about. It's about having a legacy. It's about leading by example. And Nolan has really taken the Batman franchise and cinema, maybe in general, to this place, which is such a great mix of having the spectacle of a blockbuster, but being so grounded in a having such a downbeat atmosphere. Yet the film's uplifting as well, but it is downbeat, it is grim, it's end of the world stuff. And I saw someone make a comment on a trailer for the Avengers, and I loved the Avengers, but the Avengers was very much a popcorn movie. And as much as I love the Avengers, I think Joss Whedon did a fantastic job. People did say in the trailers, or saw one person say that the Avengers was about the end of the world, but you only really felt that a city was at stake in the Avengers. And in The Dark Knight Rises, only a city's at stake, but it feels like the end of the world. That's how grim it feels. And Nolan really, he's just outdone himself. He absolutely has outdone himself. Whether this film is better than The Dark Knight, I'm not sure. I think my impressions right now, I do feel that Batman Begins is the weakest film of the trilogy, and I really like Batman Begins. But I'm very glad that what Nolan did is he took each film and did his own thing with it. So the three films, although connected, although one story arc, they are films which stand on their own mostly, or rather, should I say, they've got their own style, their own tone. I thought The Dark Knight Rises looked like a logical progression from The Dark Knight, but it's not really. In many ways, and I was saying, one of my friends said this to me after the screen, which was that The Dark Knight Rises is the most comic book movie of the trilogy. And in some ways it really is. While I think the look of Batman Begins is more within the sort of graphic novel arena, I think The Dark Knight Rises, in terms of plot points and in terms of dialogue, very much feels like a graphic novel, feels like a comic book. It shows its comic book roots. It also does some quite brave things where there are implications that certain things that happen in the film are perhaps people's imagination or dreamlike in some way, and I think that was a really brave thing to do. So what I would say is that the film, it took me a little bit of time to get into it. I sat there for a little while, just eased my way into it, and the film actually starts off with what's supposed to be this high octane introduction to the movie. I didn't actually really feel that. I didn't feel like it was overly exciting, but once I was about 20 minutes in, I was just hooked. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was seeing such a vulnerable comic book movie, and even to just call it a comic book movie is not doing it justice. This film really, I really hope that they, just as they tried to celebrate Peter Jackson's successes with the Lord of the Rings trilogy by really honouring him in the last film, I hope that Hollywood has the intelligence to do that with Christopher Nolan. But then the Oscars normally get everything wrong. Not everything wrong, but they're often wide of the mark. Hindsight, you normally look back and realise that I can't believe this film beat out this film, you know. So it's a remarkable achievement what he's done. He can walk away now from Batman. This is the end of the story, and it's just wonderful. And now in a couple of years' time, we're going to have another Batman movie, but it's going to be, I think, disconnected from the Nolan universe. Now, what I'm going to do is I just want to quickly talk about some spoilers. Before I do, just to summarise, go and see this. Be excited about it. It's phenomenal. There are words of caution for it. Batman is only in the film twice. Yeah, twice. Okay, this film is about Bruce Wayne. So, don't get me wrong. The lack of Batman means that when he does appear, it's so epic. It just gave me goosebumps the first time they appeared, and I think it took about 45 minutes to an hour before Batman first appears in the movie, and it just gave me goosebumps when he appeared. The action sequences are fantastic, and the performances by everybody, even like Anne Hathaway as Catwoman, she really did a great job, and Catwoman worked. Really worked, and I thought it was a big mistake putting her in the film before I went to see it, putting the character in the film. Not at all. Great job, fantastic, really works. They have her as just a cat burglar, and obviously they tone it down. It's got this sort of pseudo-realistic approach that we've seen in the earlier films. Tom Hardy is brutal as Bane. The only problem with Bane is that I think they have cleaned up his vocals. So I think you can tell that because of that, his voice sometimes in some scenes sounds like a disembodied voice. It doesn't sound as if it's in the scene with the other actors. It's too clean, it's too clear cut. That's the only real criticism there. The one thing that I didn't like about The Dark Knight was that I think they had souped up the bass on Batman's voice. I didn't like the growl in certain scenes. I loved it in the interrogation scene in The Dark Knight, but I didn't like it in other scenes as much. But I think they've toned it down for this film. Christian Bale knocked it out of the park here. You know, he his Bruce Wayne is so vulnerable and heartfelt that you're just with him the whole way. Christian Bale's just phenomenal. Gary Oldman takes a little bit of a step back. He's actually the linchpin, in my opinion, of The Dark Knight, but in this film he doesn't have quite as much screen time, but he still does a great job. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is fantastic as a city cop, and even someone like Matthew Modine, his character goes through this arc, and just everybody's amazing. But special mention for Michael Caine. I think the performance of Alfred in this film is absolutely heartbreaking, and he's not even in the film that much. He's only in a few scenes, but Alfred is just wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So I would just say, go and watch it. It's amazing. I'm going to go back and see it in a few days. If you do get the chance, go and see it on IMAX. That's what I went to see it on first time I've been to an IMAX screening of something, and you can see the change between the IMAX footage and the 35mm footage. IMAX is the future. I agree with Nolan. IMAX is the way to go. The clarity, the size of the image, it kicks 35mm ass. It really does. And it's really, I just hope every cinema screen becomes an IMAX screen. I know that's not going to happen, but if you watch something in 3D and you watch something in IMAX, IMAX is far more immersive than anything in 3D. So go and check it out. I'm just going to go and do some spoilers. I know I said I would do that a minute ago and I didn't, but I'm going to do some spoilers here. So if you haven't watched The Dark Knight Rises, don't listen to this. Just don't, right? Just don't listen to this, because you'll ruin a great experience for yourself. Alright, so the main thing, the main question, spoilers, remember, so please turn away if you haven't, turn off if you haven't watched the film. Did Bruce Wayne die? Did Batman die? Now, at the end of the film, we see hints that Bruce Wayne is still alive. We see that Commissioner Gordon sees that the bat signal has been mended by someone. Lucius Fox, played brilliantly by Morgan Freeman, sees that the autopilot software on the Batwing has been upgraded by Bruce Wayne, and the key really is that in the end Alfred sees Bruce Wayne, but, and here's the thing, it's open-ended because it refers to a dream that, or an aspiration that Alfred has, that one day he'll look up and see Bruce Wayne sitting there making a life of his own, and Alfred will look at him, they'll smile at one another and he'll walk away. And that's how the film ends. He sees Bruce Wayne sitting at a table with Selina Kyle, Catwoman, and he looks up and they smile at one another and Alfred walks away. It's very much like the end of Inception. Very much like the end of Inception. Because even though it seems to be really obvious that Bruce Wayne is alive from all of that, the way it's constructed, I'm not convinced it is. I actually felt walking out of it that Alfred didn't see Bruce Wayne. That's how I felt when I walked away, that Bruce probably died, and Alfred was just trying to fulfill some sort of fantasy so that he could move on with his life, thinking that he did actually see Bruce Wayne. I don't know, it just felt very dreamlike, but I don't think it's conclusive either way. It's the old Inception thing. Are they having a dream or are they not having a dream? It's really that, but it was very brave to do that. A lot of people online are saying that it's closed case. It's obvious that he was alive. I think that's a wishful thinking from a lot of people. They don't want to think that Batman has died. I think that he could be alive. I think that he could be dead. That's the way I read it at the end. I think you can interpret it either way. And lastly, I said, and if you watched, I think I did a video a long time ago about The Dark Knight Rises. I said that I believed that Joseph Gordon-Levitt would either become Robin, or that he would pick up the mantle of Batman at the end, because Batman would have shown the way, and that's exactly what happened. And I really loved the little surprise where he turns around and you find out that his first name is Robin, and the film ends with him standing in the Batcave because he's been left it by Bruce Wayne, and one of the platforms rises up with him standing on it looking out, and that's how the film ends. It's like The Dark Knight Rises. See, I think that's what's clever about the title, because it is as if he's going to be Batman again, or he's going to be some sort of superhero. But again, it's left open to your imagination. Watching that, I was like, I would watch a film about Joseph Gordon-Levitt try to carry on the mantle of Batman. I would watch that, but at the same time it would ruin the open-endedness of the film, which I think would be detrimental to what Nolan's achieved. Okay, that's what I really wanted to say. There are loads of other things I could say about it, but I will do a review and analysis. Practically has been a review and analysis in a way, but it's just me spitballing ideas, things that are jumping around my head at the moment. I'm going back to see it on Wednesday. Can't wait. Really looking forward to seeing it again. And yeah, we truly have a brilliant, fantastic superhero trilogy, and everybody involved in the film has just done a wonderful job. And please don't start this Avengers versus the Dark Knight Rises thing that I see on every video everywhere. The Avengers was brilliant and the Dark Knight Rises was brilliant. In two completely different ways. The Avengers, and this isn't denigrating it in any way, the Avengers is a popcorn movie. It was a big blockbuster. It was very funny. But I think the Dark Knight Rises is art, you know, and I think that's the difference. And I'm not saying this is more important than just sheer entertainment, but what I am saying is that they're not really comparable. Just because they both come from comic books doesn't mean that you can really compare them as films. So go and watch The Dark Knight Rises. It's unbelievably good, and if you've seen it, let me know what you thought about it, and I will hopefully answer you. So this is me getting my webcam back. Did I mention that in the beginning of the video? Can't remember now. It's been that long that I'm going to be doing loads of videos again on the channel, so it's good that I can just talk like this to you guys, and I've got loads of horror reviews and stuff like that coming up. Anyway, let me know what you thought about The Dark Knight Rises, and I will see you all soon. Bye for now. Oh. Bye for now. That was terrible. Why did I do that? I'm doing this like it's a Superman thing. Batman with man boobs. It's great. It's great. Right. Definitely going now. One other. No, in fact, I'm leaving it. I'm leaving it until another video. Right. See you later. Bye bye. Batman come back to the fore. Now, when we saw him in The Dark Knight, he took the rap for certain things that he didn't do. So the film starts up, and Batman is very much someone who is hated by the people of Gotham, which was a really brave choice to make, I think, at the end of The Dark Knight. So he's hated, he's feared, he's not someone that they trust. And the movie, at the same time, a criminal mastermind who leads an army by the name of Bane, who can match Batman not just in terms of intelligence but also physically, has appeared on the scene in Gotham and starts to wreak havoc on the whole city, eventually holding the entire city in the palm of his hand, holding it at his mercy. And of course the whole question is, will Batman no longer Batman, and he's living very much as a recluse. He's hiding from the world, he's isolated himself from everybody around him, and the reason for this is that he doesn't know how to go on not being Batman, and also because he is mourning the death of people from the previous films. And he's just a very sad, cuts a very sad and lonely figure for the first half of the film now that I didn't really think of at the time. So consider this a first impressions video. It's not a full review, it's not a full analysis. The Dark Knight Rises is the third film in Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, Batman saga, and it follows Bruce Wayne after the events of The Dark Knight, where he is actually retired. I just got back from watching The Dark Knight Rises. This isn't a Dark Knight Rises t-shirt, but anyway, and I just wanted to do a quick first impressions video about it rather than just instantly doing a review and analysis. I need to let a film breathe a little bit before I really do that. And you know, I did my Prometheus review quite quickly after I watched the film, and there were things that I wanted to say about that